I promise the webinar I'm doing tomorrow, running video sessions with students tomorrow afternoon, will be all about how I've figured out this tool. And let me tell you what, it's trial by fire, I'll be honest. And hopefully it seems semi-smooth, but it's kind of raw and uncut, and I kind of like that with kids because I just feel like it's more genuine than you trying to put on some amazing production for them, right? It's me in my office today, but it could be me in my basement, and just kind of hanging out. So I like that kind of authentic view. Thanks, Josh. So yeah, Google Apps for Education. This is super vague one. There's millions and millions of things I could do. I was actually planning on teaching a Google Academy, Google Level 1 Academy, which goes into super detail on all of these tools. And in an hour, I can't do that, but I can at least throw out some links, some hints, some helpful tips on how to use maybe some things that you didn't think about using in the past with your students. Excuse me. So let's get rolling. Expectation versus reality. Every lesson. I'm going to do every lesson because this is how I feel. Expectations that the picture turns out great, and reality. That's a great thumb face. Great thumb face. The reality of this is it's messy and it's unclear, and it's not going to be a clean product that you're putting out there where you feel, oh man, I had months to prepare. That's not what it is. So you just have to really change what your expectation is. You understand where you're going, and you just make a clear decision on what you want your expectation to be with your kids, and you do that, right? I wouldn't waffle on things. I wouldn't try to add a bunch of frills in with my students. So just think about, kind of reflect on that this week before you send out anything to your students. If you hopefully haven't gotten the cart in front of the horse per se, and just think about what is my expectation for my kids? What's the expectation for me? When am I going to be available? How am I going to be available to kids? And hopefully throughout the week you learn some things, and we can get you set up for success. So again, I'm going to promote the same things I've been promoting. This little trick here is really helpful. 3-dot full screen if you're presenting to people. Because it gets rid of, auto hides the menu bar. But for our sake, if you go to SWCSD.us and you go to the in-house page or the for staff only page, right here on the front, you've got electronic teaching and learning resources, right? And this is just getting updated all the time, right? So if you're worried about resources or some tech things, some basic, maybe not basic knowledge, but some knowledge that maybe you didn't have, we are populating this as quickly as we can. All right, so it's just built, and we're working on it. All right, so just so you know, there's something out there. We're working on we're working on all of it. All right, so we'll help you in whatever way we can. And that's kind of just our landing page for a lot of that information. Okay. If you were on the Google Classroom last hour, I apologize. You're just going to have to endure me going through Google Classroom real quick. If you're going to be using Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Forms, Google Drawings, in any way, any Google product, and you want kids to be turning something into you, or you want kids to be accessing those files, the easiest way to host all of that is by using Google Classroom, right? So I'm not going to do a huge Google Classroom overview, but I just want to touch on it in case you weren't in the last one, you're not super familiar. Infinite Campus syncs with Google Classroom. We have that set up on the district level every night. And so your courses should be synced, okay? So if I go in, this is one of my old courses. I used to teach high school math last year, and now I'm doing this crazy job. I can see everything I've posted in the past. On my stream, it's really easy to just put an announcement out. I do that often when I have a Google Classroom, just to kind of share an announcement. Most students have the notification set up where They get an email notification every time something's posted in their classroom. They would have had to actively go in and turn that off. So there's not too many of them that are doing that. Classwork page, you can create lots of different things. Assignments, quizzes go through Google Forms. You can create a question they can just answer in there. It's an awesome opportunity for commenting back and forth if you have some students where you want to kind of have them comment on each other's work. Material would just be a reference page or something like that that they could all access, and then you can reuse posts from other classrooms that you are the teacher of. Super helpful, right? And then topics are just a way to organize this classwork page. If you feel like you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, I just did a Google Classroom webinar, and I'll post it to my YouTube channel as soon as I can. I'm going to finish this webinar, go home, see the kids, and then get back to work. So it's kind of the plan. People, you can add a co-teacher if you need to, which is super helpful. From this link, if you're having a hard time communicating with your classroom, you can always click this checkbox right here. Under actions, you can email. It's going to pop up an email to your whole student list, and then you can also email guardians. My suggestion for all of that is just make your communication channel really clear. If email is your communication channel, just make sure people know when you're available, when you're going to respond. I try to model that in my work by being available Monday through Friday. On the weekends, if I get to an email, I get to it, but the expectation isn't that I'll probably respond, because I can't let online learning consume my entire life, right? I still have to operate it like a job. So I would set that parameter with my students if they're old enough. If they're younger, of course, it's different. And you might be communicating more on the parent end. But communication is super important in this whole thing. Cool. So that's just real brief Google Classroom, right? But if you're going to create things in Google Docs and slides, we're going to go back to Google Classroom and post them later, okay? So my first one is using Google Docs. So creating hyperdocs, interactive docs, and documents that allow for student exploration. So we're just going to start. I'll give you an example when I'm done, but I'm just going to start and walk you through kind of my thought process behind this one. Okay, so let's say you have already taught them, your students, something about the solar system. This is way out of my comfort zone because I was a math guy. Right, so solar system hyperdoc. Okay. A way that a lot of people are using Google Docs these days is kind of like an interactive pathway where they can go through and they can either make a choice board or they can have different prompts where students are answering. All right, and the way that a lot of people are doing that is with tables. So if you just go right away into insert and table, make it however big you want, I suppose, but I'm going to keep it as 2 columns for this example. I'm going to do a column of content, and I'm going to do a column of reflections or questions I want to ask my students. I could have students be as detailed or as simple as I want. So let me kind of show you what I mean by that. So let's say I'm going to do 10 different things here. Okay. So the first one I want to do here, let's just say I want to say watch this video and answer the question to the right. Okay. And my question is going to be, I have no idea. I shouldn't have used solar system. That was a horrible example. It doesn't matter though. How many moons are there in our solar system total? Actually, I have no idea the answer to that. Okay, so I would start by just creating the content and the prompts, right? And then I would start linking or inserting things into this. And that's how we create this thing called a hyperdoc. A hyperdoc basically has a bunch of blue links, but it has to be organized in a way that's comprehensible and ingestible for students, right? If you just post 100 blue links and say, hey, check all this out and let me know what you think, I'll be honest, nobody's going to do that, right? So instead, we're gonna guide them into what we want. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to highlight it. And I can do this a whole bunch of ways, right? But insert of ways, right? But insert, and I'm going to insert a link. I can use the keyboard shortcut. I can 2-finger click, but I'm just going to insert the link, okay? And now, right away, some things are going to pop up from my Google Drive. So if I was asking them to go see another document in my Google Drive, that'd be cool. But I'm not, right? I want a YouTube video. So I'm going to run over to YouTube real quick. I hate when people see my recommended. I don't know if they judge me or what, but who knows what it is. I don't even know, right? Okay, and let's say this is the video that I want, right? Okay, so I'm just going to click on this video. The easiest way to, sorry about that. The easiest way to do this is just grab the link up here, copy it, Control-C or 2-finger click, and then come back over here and paste it and hit apply, right? And when I share this with the kids, I can click on that link, and they can answer my questions. Maybe that question isn't answered in there, but that's a really easy way to give content out and get feedback back, right? Super easy. Okay, maybe the next thing is I want to insert an image, right? And it's really cool. Sometimes I feel like all these things are here and we don't really look at them because we're so used to what we do. But let's say I don't have the image ahead of time. So that's not how you spell Jupiter. All right. So I want this image right here. That looks really good. I like that a lot. Okay, so it's going to pop that image in. And then I'm going to ask, why does Jupiter have striations? I don't even know if that's a good question. I don't even know what that thing is either. That's hilarious. I'm so out of my my element. Right, and now I just have another question really easily. Maybe it's an infographic. Maybe it's a problem that you've in math class. Maybe it's a problem that you've written out. There's an error in it, and it's like an error analysis, right? And all you have to do is just upload that to your Google Drive. So you take a picture on your phone and you send it to your Google Drive. You share it to your Google Drive, and then you can just insert that right in from your Google Drive, right? Pretty cool. I think just creating something like this for kids is really easy. Another thing that people have done, let me show you the example that I have. It's already made. I'm going to share this with you. Hold on one second. Anybody have a question while I'm doing this? Oh, how do the kids answer those questions? That's great, Lori. So once I create something like this, I'll show you how I put it in Google Classroom, and they'll get a copy of it. And then once they have a copy of it, they could answer all those questions on their own copy. I wouldn't want to do that where we were all trying to share one copy. That would be horrible. All right. So there's my link. Can everybody see that link? I want to make sure the sharing permissions are correct. Another thing that you have to figure out, right? Sharing permissions are going to be tricky. If you haven't dive in Wendorf, you can judge me on that one. Into the world of sharing permissions, that's a tough thing, right? Some kids, if they're using a personal device and they're not logged into their Southwestern account, I get this a lot from teachers, right? They're on their personal device at home trying to look at something, and I've only shared it with Southwestern city schools, and then people are asking me for permission. And it's not that it's not that I'm private about my information, but I'm just being careful. I don't want everything I post to be out there for everyone. So like in this case, I completely stole this one, right? And they have it as anyone with the link can view. Right, so it doesn't matter if you're on your account or not. Anyone with the link can view, right? And then I'm not the owner of this, so I can't really do anything, but I can request for other people to be able to see the document. Okay. If I'm on my own document and I hit share, I can enter single names right here, right? Comment, view, edit, or I can give them the link, or I can change this permission right here, which is the screen that's really helpful, right? And then I can go, so let me do that one more time, a little bit slower. Right here where it says, hold on, I'm sorry, share. And then to get that big screen to pop up, you have to click advanced, right? And then private right now, maybe I want everybody to be able to see this, right? Maybe I want you all to be able to have this. Then I could click any of these. I typically go with anyone with the link can view. If they can comment, then they can start adding comments on the side, which can get out of hand. If I don't want them to comment, can edit. Everybody could change that document, right? So I don't know. In this case, it wouldn't make much sense. Yeah. So here's an example. It's really cool. I like the layout of this. They've made it really comprehensible for a kid. And you just click on the links and you go to what they want you to go to, right? So instead of saying, check out this link, check out this link, check out this link, with a little bit of work, now you have something that makes a little bit more sense. And even if this is something where you're asking them to do offline tasks, you can at least organize the information. I would imagine creating like a choice board of like 8 to 10 things and saying students choose 3 of these this week to show your content knowledge, right? And some of the tasks could be digital tasks, some of the tasks could be analog tasks, but you're still accomplishing the same thing, right? So this is a really cool, they're called hyperdocs, right? 3 things you discovered, 2 interesting facts, 1 question you still have. They're just getting any content, any input from kids about the content that they consume, right? And then giving them a little bit more, because if they're stuck at home and they really like habitats, they might love to do something like that, right? So it's a really good example, I think. The colors are cool. That helps a lot, right? Colors work the same as you would be working with. You got your color bar right up here, right? You got your text color, your highlight color, and then you can also do, there's a million ways to do all of this stuff, but you can do table properties right here and set the background, right? So cool, now it's orange. Nice, looks good. Orange and blue. All right, and now all I did was there was table properties. I'm sure there's 100 ways to do that, but that's the way I've always done it. So that's hyperdocs. I think that's a great, easy resource for kids. Before I forget, let me jump into my classroom and show you how I would assign that to kids, right? So now I've created that content and I'm like, oh, now I need to give it to kids. You could share it with them, but then they'd have to know what to do, right? So instead, I would go into my classwork tab of Classroom. I'd create an assignment. And I would say solar system hyperdoc. And what I would do here, I would actually have the directions on the hyperdoc at the very beginning of what to do. And then I would copy and use those exact same instructions here. I would not assume they saw it in one place or the another. I would multiple post, exact same thing, set the expectation very clearly. Okay, so whatever the instructions were from my hyperdoc, I'm going to click add from my Google Drive. Recent will be the easiest way to find that. Right here's my solar system. And then the most important thing, especially on something like a hyperdoc or what I'm going to show you with slides coming up, is make a copy, right? We want each student, when it gets assigned to them, that there's a copy for them and that they'll be filling out that copy and turning it into you on Google Classroom. Okay. Again, I can't stress this enough. This might not be the way you do it or somebody showed you how to do it, and there's 100 ways to do all of this stuff, right? But I'm trying to just get one way out so as many people as possible can benefit from it. So. All right. Next, let's just show you a couple other examples, because man, people, if you want to dive into this world of like hyperdocs and templates and different things for slides and docs, there are a million people out there who have done amazing work with it, and feel free to always just contact me. I'm only 17 emails behind right now, so that's pretty good actually for 220. But I'll get to you, right? I might not get to you as quickly as I usually would, but I promise I want to help. So if this is something you're interested in and I didn't give you enough, just reach out and I might connect you with somebody else who knows more than me, but at least I can get you going in the right direction. So templates are really cool. I'm not going to go into these a ton, but if I go, this guy ditched that textbook. He's like a super popular ed tech guy. He was like a Spanish teacher, and then he just started doing stuff online. People love it. So not to spam you with more resources, and I'll I'll put this in the chat if you want to look at it with me. But you know, there's a million resources out there, and part of what I'm trying to do is actually eliminate the scariness of all the resources, because there's just so many out there. But this guy has, like, these are super practical, right? So let's say I'm asking them to do something and I just want them to create some, I don't know any of this content super well, but if you look down here, there's all these different examples of things kids can fill out, right? And you just download this to your Google Drive, and then you can make a copy for all your students and they can fill this out, right? It at least gives you, even if, you know, even just me scrolling through these gives you an idea of like, wow, I can create that and then use it for my students. I think that idea is something, what you're really good at, maybe creating a worksheet or a document for kids to fill out via paper, but now you kind of, the door opens a little bit more if you're willing to look into it. So and then he's got great tutorials, so if you know, and I'm not going to go into a ton of work on that, but I am going to open a Google slide. A lot of you have been asking me about how I'm even running these presentations. I promise I'll get to it. One thing I do with my Google Slides, and there's ways to set your themes, and you know, if I wanted to, I could give you way more than you probably needed on your Google Slides. But here's how I always kind of operate this, because this is how it always opens, right? First thing I do is I set my background. I'm a like monochrome type guy. I don't like a lot of, well, you can tell by my outfit, right? Black, but I don't like a lot of color here. Well, maybe we'll go green. It's exciting. Okay, and then I'm gonna say, like, and I'm gonna set the font. And you can set all these up ahead of time, right? But it's really easy. I use this all the time. I don't even set them up ahead of time because it's so easy for me, right? Just easier to do it like this. So I just say, like, learning about resources. Okay, and then I'm gonna set this up as well with the font I like, the color I like. Okay, and then here we go, right? And then here's how I make these slides super quick. I just take this over here and I just duplicate it a whole bunch of times. I can Control C, Control V, and I make, like, you know, 15 of them, right? And now I've got all the settings I like. I don't have to worry about creating the settings and making sure I get to the right theme or the right, I just can set it up really simply. I like plain. I don't like a lot of extra stuff anyways. And then now I'm good to go, right? And if I wanted to with kids, let's say on the first one I post a link, right? So let's say I insert, maybe I want a video, right? And the cool thing about Google Slides that probably you don't have in Google Docs is you can do a lot more. So if I want a video here, let's say I want to learn, let's just keep it source. All right. And the way that this is going to go is now, instead of a link, it's embedded into this slide, right? So just another way for kids to consume the content or to reinforce what you've already used. If you have your own YouTube videos or videos on your Google Drive, let's say you're going to upload some videos and you want to just embed them into something like this and then give them an option to answer, right? You can say, erase this text and answer the question in the video, right? So let's say you asked a question in your video and you said, okay, at this point you're going to erase the text to the right and answer the question, this question, right? The kids didn't watch the video, they'd have no way of answering, right? So when you go share that on Google Classroom, they can make a copy, they can answer that text, and then you can grade it the same way you would grade anything else. So it's pretty great. I personally prefer delivering everything using Google Slides. I just think it's super easy. And there's a lot of different things you can do with them. Okay, you can create, like all of these, you can create templates for kids to drag and drop or to just fill out some specific things or to kind of customize it for your class. All right, so that's pretty awesome. And then the last one, I just have another example for you. Let me share that with you. This is crazy. I mean, some of this is like really extreme, right? And not that we have any expectation that you'd be willing to make something like that, but Oh yeah, thanks Jen for sharing that. Is it breaking up for other people? Are we good? Feel free to turn on your mic and let me know. Okay.
Looks good from here.
Okay, cool. So this last one I just shared with you is just a menu activity. Same idea, right? Same way to deliver your, maybe you're not even delivering content, but you're just trying to share some resources with kids, get them out to them so they can consume them. Just have something for them to consume, right? Something that maybe reinforces what they've already learned this year. Okay. All this one did created like a menu, and then just gave some questions, inserted some images. It's just a great way for somebody to be able to go through quickly. I like the fact that it's on different pages, right? So it breaks it up really easily. All they're doing is embedding video, just like I showed you, right? And then they're just putting some random images in there, but nothing on this is that crazy to program. Here's 2 different videos on the same page. And then some of this is designed like, you'll be joining Mr. Mack for a discussion about foreign policy. If you, that's pretty advanced, right? But at least it gives you an idea of what's kind of out there with Google Slides. And real quick on mine, just to show you a couple of those features if you didn't know. If you go down to document details, so file, document details. Oh wait, no, that's wrong. I'm so silly. Page setup. You can change it. It doesn't have to look like a slideshow, right? So I'm a big Instagram size, so square, right? Because it's super hip. So you can just go here, you can change it to widescreen, or you can go custom. And when you hit apply, all your slides then become that size, right? So the reason why that Google Slides presentation I just shared with you of the menu looks like a page is because he set it up as an 8.5 by 11 or whatever, and that's why it looks the way it does, right? Not that that's super important, but if you're looking into those types of things about how to kind of customize this and make it unique for your kiddos, that's a cool way to do it. Okay. I have some notes here. I don't want to miss anything. I'm going to jump back to my webinar slides and make sure I don't screw this up. Okay. One more thing, just on Google Classroom, you can always put any content that you have in your Google Drive. You can link that in for kids, right? So slides, docs, forms. Okay, and we're going to go into Google Forms real quick. That's right. So if you're an occasional Google user, you may know this, but pretty much all the Google apps, docs, slides, sheets, drawings, Google Keep, all of them, you can just type in blank.new, form.new, forms.new, sheets.new, and it will just populate with a brand new Google form. Okay, and I'm going to show you a couple things here. Again, I think some of us maybe explored these tools years ago, and then we never really kept up on it, and the tools weren't that incredible, and now they've really improved. And so let me just show you a couple things about Google Forms that maybe we didn't know or we weren't sure of. So first thing is create a title, create a form description. All of this stuff in person doesn't seem as important as it does now. I think form description is incredibly important when you're only teaching kids online. I think you can only be more clear, and kids will benefit from that. So don't skip out on those things if you normally would have. Really emphasize clear and consistent directions for kids. Okay. One thing that I particularly enjoy a lot about Google Forms are all of these settings up here. So the first setting is collect email addresses. That's just an easy way for you to know exactly who has responded. If I was sending something out to kids, I would absolutely collect their email address. It does force them to be on their domain name and not just on a random, but they should be doing that anyways, right? And then this even more restrict to users in Southwestern City Schools. If you're doing some type of quiz or something where you don't want them to be able to edit or respond again, limit to one response. If, like for my attendance form, you can respond again and again and again, right? And then edit after submit is kind of what it seems like. If you were going to give them feedback and then they could go back and edit it, you can do that. And then summary charts and text responses, I probably wouldn't check that on. That's for, if you're doing a survey and you wanted everybody to be able to see the results, okay? Under presentation, progress bar, I like this one a lot because sometimes when I'm taking an online quiz or a survey or something, I don't know how far I am into it, right? And it's incredibly frustrating. I'm like gearing up for an hour and then it's like 6 minutes later and I'm like, oh, it's done, right? Or I'm gearing up for 6 minutes and it's an hour, which is way worse. So progress bar is helpful. Question order shuffle, probably more relevant in the classroom, right? If you don't want kids to be looking off each other's screens and understanding that, oh, we all have the same question. And then show link to submit another response. You probably want to take that one off if it's a single response, right? You don't want them to be able to submit again. And then you can customize the message if you want when they submit. It can say something specific. Quizzes part is relatively new. If you want to make it a quiz, there's a couple of things you can do, right? It's going to let you point value. It's going to let you auto grade, so you're going to be able to put correct and incorrect answers in. And then locked mode locks their Chromebook down so that they can't go onto other tabs or other applications while they're on the quiz. Okay, we're looking into other ways to keep assessments kind of keep the assessment so that it's confidential or so that it's secure. But I would hope that your fear right now isn't about assessments with kids, but it's just about how can I get kids to reinforce the content I already have taught them and to do some work at home, because it's going to be such a learning curve, right? And then if you're auto grading it immediately, you can give it back to them, or you can review those. Maybe you have some short answer questions you have to grade by yourself. And then there's some other settings as well. I'll be 100% honest with you. BTCs out there probably have used this, and probably users have used this way more than myself. I'll help you wherever I can, and I might just point you into the right direction. I'm sure the chat would be helpful for that right now. Okay. All right. So a couple things I want to show you using Google Forms that maybe would be helpful for you. The first thing is to add sections. Sections are, when you get the next button at the bottom of a Google form, that's because somebody has created sections of that Google form, right? So I always create sections, and you can just add them from here, as many as you'd like, right? You're just adding sections. There's no questions in them. It's just separating my form right now into 4 different pieces. Okay, 4 different pieces. My first section, I'm probably going to collect the basic information if I'm doing this with kids, right? I know I collected their email address, but a lot of time it's nice to collect the first name. Okay. If the question is something that, let's just go through the real basics real quick. This is the question. This is what they would answer with. So right now they're going to answer with short answer text. Let's say we wanted to add an image into my question. I can do that right here. Let's say there's so many different options, right? Most of us are going to stick with these ones. Let's just go with the short answer. Paragraph, it's really long. The difference between those two is the answer line on short answer shows up as one answer line, right? So if you're asking kids to write out 5 or 6 sentences in a Google form and you give them short answer, it's going to be really hard for them to edit it because it's just one line. Whereas paragraph, they'll get to see the whole text. Multiple choice is what you would think. Checkboxes is like multiple select, right? There's way more, right? File upload. Let's say I have kids completing work and I just want them to take a picture and upload it. There you go, file upload, right? They get the picture onto their Google Drive and they can upload it right there. And then there's some other stuff as well. Like I'm using the linear scale in my feedback, but we can dive into those more if you need to. Okay, so I'm going to keep it a short answer. The copy button is really helpful because I have first name, so what would come naturally after that would be last name. So when I hit that copy button, oh, that's not how you spell name. When I hit that copy button, it just duplicates the question exactly as it was, right? Trash, gets rid of it. Required means they can't go on to the next section or submit the form until it's done, right? Super annoying when you're trying to fill out a form for something free and they make you put in all the information, but that's what it is. Okay, and then you've got a description if you want to add it, and then response validation. I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, it's kind of your bare bones right there. Right here, you can drag and change. So if I want that to go up here, right? If I want it to go in a different section, I can just drag it down to a different section. All those types of things work just as you would guess. Drag and drop is awesome. Google loves drag and drop. Okay, if I want to jump a section up or down, this is in the wrong spot, I can use these arrows to move my section. Excuse me. Okay, if I want to add a question, let's say I didn't want to duplicate it, but I need another question in here, right? I can click add. It's just going to go right below wherever I was. So I was highlighted in this question, so add questions is going to take me right here. Okay. This import question, this is dynamite. Holy cow, this is so cool. So if you have a form that's shared with you, let's say this. Let's just go with a hypothetical. Let's say a teacher like Josh Doran, who uses all these Google tools like a magician, already has some Google form created, and I know I want the questions off of it, right? I can use his form if he shares it with me, adds me as a collaborator, and I can just go in and get that question. So here's an example. Like here's my feedback, right? Okay, I'm going to get this import questions option, and I can take all the questions if I want, or I can just go in and find. I can add sections as well. So like this question has 11 options in the multiple choice. I would hate to have to type all those again, right? So I can just grab this section, import my questions, and boom, there it is right there, right? Import, so cool. I love that. Crazy. Google people are so crazy, right? Add title and description. That's just going to add a little bit more information above or below wherever you put it, right? So if I needed more text that wasn't a question, I could add that in. Insert an image does exactly what you would think. Just a reminder, if you don't need to have the image ahead of time. If you're using Google image search, just click insert image and then search for your image right there. I can't believe that. That's so easy, right? I love that. And then insert YouTube video. So if you want, I'll show you how to use that in just a second, really practically. But if I want kids to see a YouTube video, I can do that. Okay. So here's how I would use this. You can just use it to collect assessments, but I think there's a really powerful way to use Google Forms, and it's pretty easy. Let me show you how, and then we'll be done with this webinar. Okay. So I'm going to have them answer this question, right? So I'm going to say, like, does Earth, we're just going to go solar system, this whole thing, have more than one moon? I think the answer is no. So when you put a question like this out, Google's intelligence gives you suggestions on what your multiple choice should be, right? So yes, no, maybe. So I'm just going to add yes and no. I don't want maybe. I just want yes and no, right? And then I can add another option if I need to. And you can also just click on one of these and hit enter, and it's going to add another option in, which is really cool, right? You can also make your answers images. So a math example, I apologize again, would be maybe there's some pictures that you wanted kids to represent patterns with, and you wanted them to select the pattern, right? Okay, so you could put all the patterns in as answers. Pretty cool. All right, so here's the part that I want to show you. On those three dots, you're going to get this thing that says go to section based on answer. Now, that wasn't in the last one because the last one was a free response type question. But when you have multiple choice, go to section based on answer. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. What that's going to provide me with is an opportunity to kind of map people out to different answers. So if they say yes, Earth has more than one moon, I'm going to send them to section 2. And I'm going to label section 2 now as watch this quick video about Earth. Okay, kind of like a reteaching opportunity, right? So maybe this is content we've already talked about, but we haven't gone over it a lot, right? So that's where they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go to section 2, right? But let's say they say no. Well, I don't want them to have to watch the video because they got the question right. So I'm going to send them to section 3, which is going to be section 3. Let's call that question number 2. Okay. So based on their answer, it's going to send them to a different direction. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. I'm going to hit the little preview, which is really nice, right? Does Earth have more than one moon? If I hit yes, oh, I got to put my name in here. If I hit yes, see how it's going to send me to watch this quick video about Earth, right? Okay. And if I hit no, it's going to take me to the next question, right? So I have essentially mapped them around to different questions, which is really awesome. Okay. And then what I can do from that, let's say I put a video in here. All right. The moon. Let's see what we get. This is risky searching YouTube. Oh, that's not what I want. Science about Earth's moon. Should have prepared that ahead of time, huh? Okay, so this is probably not what I want at all, but I'm just going to sneak it in there. And I'm going to say, watch this video to learn more. Okay, and maybe I sent, now I have a quick question that I want to give them, just kind of something that make sure that I know they watched it, right? So I'm going to add a question in here, and I'm going to say, like, are you now more informed about the moon? Right? Okay, and I can hit yes and no, and then I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to add in this go to section based on answer, and if they say yes, I'm going to take them actually back to the first section where I want them to answer the question again, right? So I can map them back to the first question and make them answer it. So it's really great that I can now force them to get the question correct before they're able to complete the entire form. So it doesn't have to just be an assessment tool, right? It doesn't have to just be complete the multiple choice and fill out your answers. I know that's an effective use of it, but it can also be a way to just deliver content in a different, unique way, and make sure that there's built-in feedback for the kids that you don't have to give on every single question. Okay, that's kind of just an idea. I've seen it used a few different times, and if they said no about this, I would send them back to the same section and make them watch it again, right, until they said yes. Okay, cool. Real quick on Google Forms, theme, you can add an image and all that, right? I would go with gray probably. Looks good. I can change the font style, but there's not a ton of settings there. And then when you hit send here, so right away if you're the originator of the form, you're the only one who has that editing access, right? Okay, so when you send them the link, they're seeing the preview link that I was showing you, right? Okay, so you can just copy this over. Right, copy right there. You can share that link, or I'll show you real quick on Classroom how to make that happen too. Right, you can also email. Okay, and then the last thing is, let's say you're working on something together. You want to both be able to edit. 3 dots, add collaborators. You also saw it in the send menu, but you can do that as well. Okay, and there's add-ons. I mean, there's a lot, right? Like that's just nuts and bolts. But hopefully, if you haven't used it or in a while or weren't familiar, you have something to go off of now. All right. Yes, thank you, Jen. They do have to complete the form in one sitting. Kindergarten, yeah, I wouldn't use this for kindergarten. I would. I've been having conversations about little ones, and I hope they can get on iReady and maybe send them a few videos. But I would not be trying to design online content for kinders. That would be hard. I would maybe stick with like sending them some slides that have videos built in, and they can just click on the video, or pictures built in and they can kind of look at that. But I wouldn't dive into these tools. Anything else? I'll tell you what, it feels like drinking from a fire hose with all these tools and resources available. The best thing you can do for yourself to gain confidence is to pick one that you already have tried or you're a little bit familiar with, and just kind of hammer that in. I wouldn't explore trying to do 100 different things, right? If you saw something you really liked and wanted that to be your method, then that's cool, right? But there's no reason to feel like you have to do all of these things in a week. That would be nuts. Okay, that's not what we're really asking. Nobody's asking you to do anything. It's completely optional, right? I just wanted to kind of, a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to kind of explore these tools, and I'm just trying to share what little knowledge I actually have. So, any other questions or hyperdocs? I think somebody shared a YouTube video up in the chat about hyperdocs. Maybe it was Jen. But yeah. Yeah, questions. Questions. The most helpful thing you can do for us with questions. I don't know if Rob can pop that link in. We're trying to just keep them on a Google Sheet. Anybody can add questions at any point. I can probably find it, or somebody can jump on and put that in the comments. That would be great. But I'm spent. If you guys got more, love to help out. Sweet, y'all are killing it. Let us know what we can do to help, and if we need to run other things. I'd love some feedback. I know we're asking a lot of feedback and questions and things, but that's the best way I can get information out to people is if a lot of people tell me they need something. If I don't know it, I'll find somebody that does, or I'll learn it myself and try to teach people. So let us know what we can do, and stick with what you know, and be confident going forward. Just communicate with your kiddos the best you can. I'm gonna jump off I'm gonna take my mic and my camera off, but I'll stay on just for a couple more minutes to see if anybody else has questions. Okay, but make sure reach out to people on the chat. Reach out to us. Thanks, guys.